Henna, you and I have spent hours covering this story late into last night.
Yeah.
What do you have your eyes on now that we are one day removed from this tragedy?
The shock still remains. Blood was spilled inside the Capitol yesterday. The People's House, a woman, a 14-year Air Force veteran, was shot inside one of the most secure buildings in our country. 4 people are dead after what happened. As the FBI and law enforcement are now scouring social media to find the identities of these rioters, there were many images that stood out to me, including this guy, 60-year-old Richard Barnett, of Arkansas, sitting at House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's desk. We will show his picture in a moment. Now, even after the chaos that ensued, there he is. Barnett told media outlets when he made it back outside, "I'm not afraid to go down with someone else's blood." And as far as sitting at the House Speaker's desk, he said, quote, "Sat down here in my desk. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a patriot. That ain't her desk. We loaned her that desk." Barnett, at least as of now, has not been arrested or facing any charges. Of course, he is not alone. Millions of Americans, JD, like you mentioned, believe this sentiment. It is disgraceful to see hundreds of our fellow Americans desecrate our nation's capital. We're calling these men and women insurrectionists. They are. But as I was watching the video of the vandalism and the thievery that went on inside, I will take this a step further and call this display white privilege, where a mob of primarily white men went into the People's House for no other reason but to create chaos without facing much consequence. Can you imagine if these crowds were made of brown and black people, Muslims, Asians? I can confidently say we probably wouldn't see police officers posing for selfies with these terrorists, and the casualty rate potentially could have been much higher. The contrast here is so distinct that if you still don't see the deep divisiveness in our country and racial inequality after yesterday, it really is time to finally take your blinders off. Folks, this is happening. These scenes, not from a movie. I do want to leave on a positive note, though. I have to say, for Congress to reconvene the electoral count well into the middle of the night, certifying Mr. Biden around 4 a.m. as our next president, after one of the saddest days in our lifetimes, is exactly the resiliency I needed to see from our lawmakers. And it makes me proud to be an American, despite yesterday's events that will no doubt go into the history books.